What's up, guys? It's Max Clausen, and I'm going to bring you a new deck profile version. First draft, I guess I'd say, of Dracotail Regenesis. So, I did finally manage to get my hand on all the Dracotail cards, especially on Sunday. I got my hand on Pixel, however you say its name, and the trap card. And I decided I wanted to try and bring you guys this profile that I'll be taking to locals today. So, only going to be showing you the main and extra deck, no side. So, with all that further ado, let's jump into it. This is going to be leading more onto the Dracotail side of the deck because that's the one that has the most power. So, for starters, we have the one Dracotail Pan and the one Dracotail Urgula. Both of these you always play at one if you're mixing the deck with some other deck or archetype. If you're playing a pure, you would probably play 2 Pans and 2 Urgulas, depending on how you like. But for cases like this, you only play 1. Pan, when it's in all the Dracotails share, if you don't know already, they share the same common effect that if they're used for fusion material for a fusion summon, you can set a Dracotail spell or trap card, and then they have a unique effect. Pan's unique effects are that he can destroy a monster non-targeting, and if a Dracotail non-fusion is sent, if a Dracotail monster, let's just read it up so I don't butcher it any more than I have. If one of your face-up fusions is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while it's in the graveyard, you can place this card on the bottom of your deck and special summon a non-fusion Dracotail monster from your graveyard, which is pretty good. So, should your opponent hit you with a Lightning Storm or Raigeki, Darko, whatever the case may be, use that effect, summon out your other monsters, and you're off to the races. Urgula's own unique effect is that it can pop a spell or trap card, non-targeting. Keep in mind, the majority of the Dracotail monsters that have a unique effect in graveyard do not target, so your opponent has to react when they activate. And his other unique effect is that you can put him on the bottom of a deck, targeting a spellcaster in your graveyard and adding it back to your hand. So it recycles your Femina, your Effect Veiler, whatever you may be playing this in, or even on new spellcaster monster Pixel. But Urgula and Pan, definitely both great cards you run one of. Next, we have the Dracotail Femina, the most important card of the Dracotail archetype. During either player's turn, you can activate this card from your hand, discarding it, and fusion summon using monsters from your hand or field as material. But you can only summon a dragon or spellcaster fusion monster this way. And as I stated before, they all have the same graveyard effect where if used for fusion material, they set a card to your field. Lucius is running 3 of. This is your searcher for your Dracotail monsters. Malulu is another 3 of. During the main phase, you can at quick effect speed fusion summon using your field or hand. And Malulu's unique effect is that it can negate a face-up monster on the field. And now we have the new Dracotail Pixel. Look at her in all of their adorable glory. Her unique effect is that if she is normal or special summon, you can target a Dracotail monster in your graveyard except herself, summon it, and then you return a monster you control to your hand. So a good combo is summon Pixel, use this effect to targeting Femina, summon it, and then add Femina back to your hand, so then you have fusion plays to do during your opponent's turn, or during your opponent's turn, should you have to do this on your turn or not. Next up, we do have the 3 Rahu Dracotail. This is your branded fusion of the deck, but it locks you in the fusion summons for the rest of the turn. And then we have Ketu Dracotail, which is a Rhoda and a polymerization card. You only get the poly effect if your opponent controls a monster. Next, we have Dracotail Flame, which negates a face-up spell card on the field, and then you can recycle 1 Dracotail card from your graveyard back to your deck and draw a card. You have Dracotail Horn, which bounces a face-up attack position monster. And then you can place a Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. And the new Dracotail Sting. Now this card can be a double DD Crow, which is insanity. And it also recycles your Dracotail cards from your grave or banishment to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So new card. You can opt to not play this if you want to, but I'm not sure why you wouldn't, because this gives you so much versatility, fighting against something like Yummy or Mitsurugi, Ryziels, if they're still in the meta. It just fights a lot. It does fight a lot of things, and you don't have to main deck the OG DD Crow, which can be hit with a call by. That is all the Dracotail stuff. Now we're moving into the short Regenesis package. To be aggressive, we do still play the One Lord because it's your biggest beat stick of this entire deck, dealing piercing damage when it battles, and in the battle phase, it does not activate and it gains 2,500 attack points. In order to summon it, you have to banish a monster with 2,500 attack and defense, and on summon it sets a Regenesis spell or trap card. Next, we do play the 3 Archfiend to facilitate this. This is your main target to banish off with Lord. You reveal a monster with 2,500 attack or defense, and then you summon this card to your field, and on summon it searches a Regenesis card. So the best part about this is that Phimina has 2,500 defense, so she works very well with this archetype, which is funny. Next we have Dragon, which is your Cosmic Cyclone of the deck. You have Sage, which is your Omni Negate by sending a Regenesis card from your face up from your field or hand to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy that card. And we have Warrior, which is your compulsory evacuation. These three, there just has to be a monster with 2,500 stats on either side of the field to summon them. So whether it be your field or your opponent's field, these things are being summoned. Next, I do run the 2 Regenesis just because you don't want to open up and have too many spell cards in your hand or spells and traps, because your main play is with Dracotails. You want to fuse on your opponent's turn to get the most max interruption and value, and seeing too many cards in your hand, spells and traps, means you're not doing anything. So yeah, that's my reason for that. And the Regenesis Birth, just because if you do manage to go first and you only have the Archfiend and Lord play, you only play Regenesis Birth if you play Lord, because that is your only target to set with this kind of deck. As you know, we're not running Regenesis Code, which is our E-Telly. Next up, the last bit of monster support, I do run the 3 Kashtira Fenrir, because this is still a very, 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 very strong pressure card. Your opponent has to act against it, otherwise, their field will be picked apart, especially against Yummy. This is a very big killer. Like, all you need to do is banish the minion, and they can't really play. They can't do anything. They can't beat over anything because they're all weak. So yeah. Next, for the hand traps, we have the 2 Fuwalos, because it's the best card going second. Even if you go first and you see this, as long as you can use your Dracotail monsters, you can just use this as fusion material. Same being said with the double Purelia. I choose to run Purelia because this is a 50 card deck. Actually, didn't mention that, but still the same. You want to see either or. And even if you see them going first, you can just use them as discard fodder or fusion fodder. And the last of the important hand traps is Ash Blossom, to be able to stop the Moltramis, basically. Nothing more, nothing less. Now up for the last of the other cards, I play the 3 Forbidden Droplets, just in case I do get those hands where I don't open up any good engine, or my hand's just that bad. This is very much a good power play, especially with the Regenesis, Sage, Warrior, and Dragon. If they are and Archfiend, almost forgot. If they are sent to the graveyard during the opponent's turn, they all activate to come back to your hand on the end phase, so that's a little utility there. Since the extra deck of this deck doesn't really matter much, I choose to play the 3 Super Poly just so I can get problematic cards off my opponent's field. And, you know, being able to play a card that the opponent just cannot respond to is really, really insane. Next, I do have the 1 Cult Buy and the 1 Triple Tactics Talents. That's the rounding up of the entire main deck of clean 50. Now into the extra deck. Again, since the extra deck is Draco Tale base, we have those cards, but aside from that, you can put anything you want in this deck, really. So obviously for the Super Poly targets, we have the Mud Dragon and the Garura. People are starting to get a little wise in trying to play around having monsters of the same attribute and different types, but in the same types and attributes but different names. But there's only so much playing around you can do, otherwise your boards will be half-baked. Next, we do have the 2 Dracotail Regenesis. You can cut this down to 1 because you can recycle it, but I choose to play 2. I might bump it up to 3, just because, you know, this is still a Dracotail deck. But Regenesis' effect is that you can, during your turn when you activate a Dracotail card effect, if your opponent doesn't have anything in response, this is a win, so this has to be the last thing activating. You can pop a card on the field. Next, and Gualamel and Arthelion share the same effect. If 2 monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, you can summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. Next, I have the Secretarian Dragon for the mirror matches or matches up against dragons or spellcasters or branded, stuff like that. This is just the auto win button. We have the Mysterion to punish decks that do rely on 1 type and or attribute. The 3 Arthelion Dragon, being able to bounce cards from either field or graveyard, depending on how many materials you use from hand. I choose to tech in the Centipond. I got this idea from Zephyr Games because Arthelion and Archfiend and or Dragon both are level 8, so being able to make this against a Yummy deck is actually pretty insane. I play the Sky Slayer Typhon because, you know, if we go second, the opponent makes up a crazy field, just summon that. The Spirit Dragon with Eyes of Blue into the Heavenly Spears because you have Dracotail Malulu and Lucius that can do that. The SP Little Knight for banishing, and the Nightmare Phoenix just to round off for generic things to summon. But that is going to be it for this deck profile. Let me know what you guys thought. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content in the future, and stick around as I will be making a profile of the MST archetype coming soon. But hit that bell to be notified whenever I do make a post. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.